Hi, Sue Wilson here again today. I've got a gorgeous card done in aqua and white using our new dies, and I want to show you how to cut the frames with the new double pierced squares. Let me introduce the dies we'll be using for today's card. First up, we have the Heraldic square. It's got some beautiful detail which we've used all throughout the card. I have the Laurel leaves, which we'll be using as an embellishment. The diagonal fold-over flower. I'm going to be using the tag from the Canadian Border Corner and Tag die set. The Amazing Sentiments, which is a clear stamp set. And the frame will be cut from the Noble double pierced squares. And before I forget, I do want to show you, on the Amazing Sentiments, if you'll notice, I've got the For You, which is set up in this orientation. But just so you know, you can always clip those down the middle and put them onto your acrylic block side by side for a different look too. So just wanted to be sure and point that out to you. Set these aside. Now I'm going to start with the frame first. So I've got a piece of coconut white card here, and I'm going to need the larger cutting plates for this. So I'll bring them in. And actually, first thing up, I want to do my embossing rather than the cutting. I've found, it's a little bit of trial and error, but I've found when you're doing large frames, if you emboss first and then cut, you don't have to worry about the cut piece coming out of the dies. So let's do that. I'm going to go ahead and tape them in place. So here's the large one. I'm going to tape it both sides and then center the smaller part of the inside of the frame, and you just have to kind of do this by eyeball. You can get a ruler out and measure it if you like, but I'm just going to do mine this way. So everything's taped down in place nice. So I've got it face down with the cutting edge into our tan mat. I'm going to pop that through and do our embossing. I can't tell you how many times I used to cut frames and they would pop out of the die, and because the dies are both loose, getting them both to go back into the same place, I found it really difficult to do. So if you do the embossing first, you don't have that issue. So now I'm going to move it over to my cutting plate, and we're going to run this through. Now you will need your larger A4 size plates for this, because these are very large dies. And I will tell you that you will have to turn these. If you'll notice that as it goes down the roller, you will cut these two sides, and then you'll probably have to turn it. Yeah, maybe. Nope, this one still needs a little bit more to get those two, because the roller will roll all the way down the length of the die, whereas the top and bottom, it just pretty much will do what I call a bump, and it doesn't quite give it enough to cut all the way. Go. Okay, take out our smaller pieces here. Now this is your inside, so you're going to want to untape this. And you can use this for another project, but we aren't going to be using it for this one. Put your die back onto your magnetic sheet, because you don't want to lose them. And then undo your tape on this side. Okay, move these out of our way. There we go, but you can see what a beautiful frame that makes. And because the dies have piercing on both sides, every time you cut a frame, you'll have inside piercing and outside piercing, which I absolutely love. All right, so that shows you how to do that. I've gone ahead and I've cut one and put some mounting foam on it, which we'll be using. But the first step is the heraldic frames. Now I cut 4 of these, and you can see how absolutely gorgeous they are. And I've used the inside and the outside. Now there is a centerpiece in the middle of the die that's just a cutting edge, and I've left that out for this particular die. I've used it on the very center separately, and we'll get back to that. So what we're going to do is a little bit of gluing into place. I'm just going to use some Cosmic Shimmer glue around the edge here. We are going to center these so that they go to each of the 4 corners on our card. Okay. A little bit of glue here. Now you could put a little bit extra if you're doing it at home. And I'm just being quick about this. And I've also got some pearls, so I'm going to center these so that the pearls are to the outside. A little bit here. And there's my pearl up there. So we're going to have a slight bit of overlap on each of the top and bottom areas. But I think it'll give you a really, really pretty frame for your decoration for the background behind your frame. There we go. Okay. So that is absolutely gorgeous like that too, I think. I mean, it really does create a really pretty pattern. But we're going to put the frame over the top of that. Peel off our mounting foam backing paper. We're going to center that so it catches all of those little edges. And you just see the pretty bits peeking out the side there. Now, the very center of that, what I'm going to do is cut a frame out of the inside of this. Not a frame, a die piece. So I've got the decorative insert and the cutting edge for that. Bring our plates back over. Pop this down. We'll use some of our tape. And you just want to center your cutting edge around that so it's nice and even. There we go. And I'm going to use 2 pieces on there. And we'll run this through. Let's just pop it backwards. Check to make sure that all the areas have been cut. That looks really good. And I'll just pop this out. Now I've done one ahead of time, but I will show this to you. Put that back into place, and let's do a little bit of, oh, well, don't seem to have my tool handy, so I'll just pop this out. Oh, came out perfectly. So you can see how pretty that is. Now, what I've done is just use the outside cutting edge with some Aqua, and I backed that with a bit of Aqua. So that's going to be the center of our card. So I'm going to bring that back in, and rather than having it be as a square, I'm going to mount it diagonally. I've used the Canadian tag right in the center, a little bit of inking with the Aqua Adirondack. Pop that right into place there. And remember how I said I've changed that sentiment to be side by side? There it is. Center there, and I'm going to put that right in the middle of the tag. Now this is actually the center of that tag. You can cut it separately. Pop that into place. So now I've got the base of the card completed, and we're just going to add a little bit of floral element to that. And I've done a couple of flowers in different sizes here, and these are the fold-over flowers, so I'm going to add them. And the laurel leaves, which I've cut and inked through with the Adirondack ink pad. So we will bring those back and do a little bit of assembling here. I'm going to use some glue dots to seat these. Just put them into the corner of the card. Kind of offset like that. And what's nice about these laurel leaves is you can just nip them a little bit if you want smaller bits and use that. And I think I'll just seat these around with some glue. So I'm going to pop that right underneath like that. And there is a left and a right curve to these. So if you want them to go a certain direction, you can do that too. They've been designed that way. So put that right underneath like that. I've got one that curves sort of inward. Put that right up underneath that one there. And maybe one more little teeny piece. I'll just nip this one off for the inside there. There we go. Pop that underneath. Fluff them up a little bit, and how pretty is that? Such a really simple card. The dies do all the work for you there, so there's really nothing difficult about this one at all. So I hope you've enjoyed today's card. You can do it in any color for any occasion, and it would just be perfect, I think. See you later.